Hi everybody, this is Walter Requiem, and welcome back to my Let's Play of System Shock 2. Last episode we finally finished up the rec deck, and we took yet another little detour to Med-Sci, so now we are going to begin our journey to operations, and start completing objectives as Showdown wants us to. So, last time we were here, I picked up some audio logs that alluded to finding several backdoors to the security system of this deck, and so we have some different choices on where we can go. Yet again, sort of like recreation, this deck has several branching paths we could take to accomplish whichever order we want, but just for convenience sake, I'm going to go ahead and do this one first. As we can see, there is a Cyborg Assassin, and he looks suspiciously red. It looks like he's been doing some sunbathing. I like your tan, but it's time to kill you. Back here, little skank.
Is obsolete. When you and your kind are extinct, we shall cleanse our collective memory of the stain of your existence.
No, you. So once again, the menu is kind of yelling at us in pseudo philosophical nonsense.
You've served me well. Transmitting cybernetic modules.
Right. So, already our first target is dead, and we have gotten this weird GPU-looking fucker. Basically, Showdown wants us to collect these. Ooh. Don't mind if I do. Anyway, Showdown wants us to start collecting these, and we are supposed to plug them into various terminals laying around the deck. And so we will do that, but very first we have a little bit of an area we can explore and pick up some goodies. And, you know, I like goodies. Goodies are what makes the world go round. Also, I just love System Shock 2 for its mantling. You can really make each level your bitch if you really just spend enough time doing so. So yeah, that's sort of what I'm talking about. These grenade hybrids have yet to land a single hit on me this playthrough, I think. They are not the most intimidating enemy in the game, even though they might seem the part. The most notable thing about them is when you're using the the heavy weapons in this game, they are a nice extra source of grenades sometimes. Oh, looks like we have a standard assassin down here. Yeah, you know what? The more I use the crystal shard, the more I'm thinking I don't need the laser rapier. And it looks like we have a log from Rebecca, so why don't we go ahead and play that?
I'm trying to get up to find you, Tommy, but I can't. I'm stuck in ops. There's some kind of civil war going on here. The security forces came in and... No, don't freak out. I'm hurt, but not too bad. I managed to pull together a supply of medkits and a few other goodies. Some of it looks valuable, but I'm not sure what it is. Maybe some kind of military-grade implant. I left the stuff I didn't need in a corner of the data library, out of the way in case I need it later. I'm on my way. I promise you, I will not die. I will not die. You do the same, my love. Yours, Becca.
Yeah, you know, part of the reason why I love the audio logs in this game so much is because there's a lot of characters you meet in them that are honestly really badass, and Rebecca's no different. You might think that she's, like, especially from the time period this game was released, I know she's just like a, you know, uwu damsel in distress for Tommy, but no, she's got her own methodology of surviving. I mean, she's her own character. I really love that.
This is Xerxes. At 0200, there will be a poetry reading by Protocol Unit T892/2 in the Deck 5 Commons area.
Oh.
Please bring any authorized material that you wish to be read by T892/2.
Could I bring him, like, cupcakes or my immortal or something like that? That would be kind of fun. Traumatize all of Umbron with cringy fanfictions. But yeah, the story of Tommy and Rebecca is a really interesting one, but unfortunately, He did the fucking hybrid did the thing too, where I just fucking clapped him so hard he just didn't even make a noise. Just get humiliated. Just. Yeah, you know, the crystal shard is just a ton of fun in this game. There's a certain sense of unnerving that I get still going around using melee in this game. I mean, the enemies just freak me out that much. But it's a fun experience because the crystal shard is just that good. Especially when you have points invested into it. It's just a very solid option for combat. Case in point. Yeah, so... looks like we have a little area down here we can explore. And we got an audio log, it looks like from our boy Tommy himself, so why don't we go ahead and listen to that.
Vic, I think your idea for insurance is going to get us in a lot of trouble, but I trust you, so let's do it. I've managed to wrangle access codes to the escape pods on the command deck. We only need to hack into Xerxes' emergency subsystem, get past the ice nodes, and try to avoid being spotted by Bronson's security team. Piece of cake, right?
No. So yeah, as we can tell, this seems like the residential quarters of the deck, and we have another auto repair unit here. And here we have an asshole. Freaking... I think we've actually fought some full-size arachnids in Wreck. It's honestly hard for me to remember, but if not, then this is the first time we fight them. They are dickheads, to be quite honest. They do a decent amount of damage, and they take a fuck ton of damage. Like, just like recipe for a dickhead enemy. And we have just a room back there that we can't get access to. Have we been in here yet? Yeah, we have. Ooh, yeah. So, this is always fun to go, oh, a Krenchkin log! Oh yeah, this is a good one.
Miri, so far our work with the late model assassin cyborgs has gone remarkably well. I hope things with that son of a bitch Diego never come to that. But it is comforting to know we are not nearly as defenseless as the UNN stormtroopers might think. The only glitch we've encountered is with the upgraded laser rapiers. The poor things keep severing parts of themselves. We're trying to get the bugs fixed, but I know that bureaucrat is watching us. It's sad to see a man so haunted by the ghost of his father. His hatred for everything Triop represents is remarkable to behold.
Right, so that's just further more evidence of Diego just not being able to be bought prior to the many. He's just so committed to what he believes, and the fact that he lives in the shadow of his father, Edward Diego from the first System Shock, that he's so desperate to prove himself not to be like his father. Obviously, if you want to hear more of that, obviously play the original System Shock, and there is also the fanfiction I was talking about in the very first episode of the series that goes into detail about the exact thoughts of his father. It's quite a fascinating read. Anyway, we picked up an audio log off of this body, and kind of looks like this was the guy who was eating beans from hydroponics. So why don't we go ahead and listen to what he has to say.
I brought down the last of the sim units today.
I am full of the glory of the many.
Beans.
Here comes Bronson. I am at peace. Good evening, Bronson. Have you come to...
Ooh.
Turn that damn thing off.
Right. So as we can tell, Bronson doesn't seem to want to be fucking around, and so this was Malik, the guy in the audio log we picked up. So this is very well the same guy that hacked into Xerxes at the beginning of the game and played the Elvis Presley. So to me, it seems like he was already on thin ice with Bronson probably prior to the Many's takeover. But regardless, he's dead. Bronson just gunned him down. So Bronson seems to be quite the proactive person here. Oh, hello. Unlike you, you're just kind of standing there, wandering around. Oh, hello. Ow. Right, so that's just more proof that you should not try to melee the protocol droids. It's really just not worth it. Ooh, don't drop the recycler. That's not a good idea. But yeah, we'll learn more about Bronson and the extent she took her protecting of the Von Braun in this episode and this deck. And it looks like we have a little buddy trying to learn how to swim. Hey. All of a sudden you learn how to propel yourself in the water. That's not good. They're evolving. Too bad I'm using your own shit against you. Oh, man. That's just really satisfying, man. There's really just not much else to talk about here. There's a lot of good loot that we can find just searching around in these cabins, and quite frankly, Rec and Ops are a lot in the same. They're basically both decks where your build starts coming together. You should worry about yourself. How about I show you one? Same. Why don't we exchange our gifts with each other? Well, I'm glad you enjoyed mine, and I'm getting fucked. Oh god. Yeah. Well, now that I have my Sci points back, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty much in the clear just to tank this. The flies can't really do much damage to me when I have my shit up. There we go. And that's really why I love the Worm Mind implant. It's just a solid way to fill out your tankiness in impossible difficulty.
Tommy, I don't know what's going on here. Ever since we received orders to clear out Deck 3, people have been disappearing. There's a kind of gloom hanging over everybody, but no one seems to be willing to talk about it. I don't like it. Meet me on the rec deck at 0900. I've got an idea. A little insurance for you and me.
Now I believe this is a very important crate for us to hack. Yep, there we are. One of the very few French Epstein devices in impossible difficulty. Now, there are a few different ways I can use this. I can use it on the EMP rifle, I can use it on the laser pistol to max it out. What I've actually considered, and what actually dawned on me the other day, is that it would probably be most efficient to use it on the Viral Proliferator. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Speaking of the Viral Proliferator, we're picking up more and more beakers. I think I must have left one behind or something because... oh well. No you. I should probably go back and get it. Yeah, you know what, I'm going to go back and look for it. I don't really want to be missing a beaker in System Shock 2. Especially if I'm using exotic weapons. You know what, no. I've been wandering around a lot in this playthrough, and I don't really want to bore my audience. But at the same time, you know, I don't really want to go against how I typically play this game, right? Like, I'm really methodical when I play System Shock 2. I go over everything in this game. Oh god. It does not feel right to me to, like, look past, you know, ammo if I can, like, at all avoid, you know, passing it up. Ew. Cool. Well, we got past that. So that's pretty much it for this section of the game. Rather, this section of Ops. I just really like the atmosphere of this deck. It's very... It kind of feels like Wreck in a sense. You know, you can tell it feels lived in some points, but at the same time, it's very industrial, and there's a certain forebodingness to it. It feels very sterile and very hostile in a sense. Yeah, I think we're done here. But before we do, we have a couple of places we need to visit. First of all, there is a chemical storeroom over here, and I believe it has something that we want. Azetrium. Yeah, it might not be this one then. We are looking for a vial of molybdenum for our rumbler organ here. And I believe this is the crate that has beakers in it. I could be wrong. There are some crates that I just don't hack. Over time, I've kind of learned that some of these crates don't have good stuff in them, but of course, I wouldn't know off the bat every single crate in this game. And I'm realizing why this minigame is so tense is because a lot of the times these crates are placed in such certain ways that you can't see what's going on behind you. It's brilliant. But at the same time, it's making me very uncomfortable right now. So let's just go back really quickly, refill our energy, and then maybe find that other beaker, and if not, we'll just keep going. Hello. Spankity spankity spank. Oh, there we go. Awesome. I don't know why I just left it here, but that's another Walterism. Just leave random shit here. And is there a weapons terminal I can use? Yeah, this is a part of the... Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, we need Energy 6 to be able to use our baby here. So, that's going to be my next goal, is to get Energy 6. Hopefully we can get it this deck. I'm not too certain if we actually will, but at the very least, I should have it early command. I just spoiled the next deck, rip. Oh well. I'm pretty sure most of the people that are like watching this playthrough realistically have probably played through the game. So I probably don't need to be taking the the precautions that I've been taking, but you know, I just respect this game so much I don't really want to spoil it for people that have never played it, right? So let's just go ahead and go to the next section of the deck. Right. So I've noticed that sometimes my... Oh, hello. That's always such a satisfying thing to pull off. A running smack.
Inside of this door lies one of the sim units.
Reprogram it, and I will wrest more control of this ship from the
Obsolete Xerxes.
Once I am
Master of this ship, I can open many doors for you.
And for now, they block my access.
They mock my eminence.
Make them pay for that mistake, and I will shepherd you
From the darkness.
You know, elephant in the room, but the way Shodan's voice is just designed is just so masterful. The way she says they mock my eminence, it just always gives me chills. Like, I'll just come out and say it. System Shock 2, in my opinion, is the greatest video game ever made, and you can't convince me otherwise. And Shodan is just part of the reason why. I feel like I'm going to end up devolving into this so many times by the end of all my System Shock videos, because, like I mentioned before, I do want to go and do all the fan missions as well for System Shock 2, or most of the good ones. But I just adore this game. Like, I cannot put it into words how much that I think this game established part of like who I am as like a gamer, really. Oh, he said the word gamer unironically, he's cringe. But honestly, this game just, I owe this game so much of my personal tastes. Like, the kind of things I'm into are oddly very specific, and they tend to be off the beaten path a little bit. And System Shock 2 is, I think, probably like one of the biggest examples of that. System Shock 2 fills very specific niches and like the actual genres it covers. You know, it's an RPG, it's a survival horror game. It's a first-person shooter. If you really look at it in that lens, it's a very unique game, but at the same time, you know, it feels familiar. Each of its aspects feels really familiar if you've never played it. It's just, I mean, there's a lot of people that think it hasn't aged very well, but if you give this game time and you learn to understand it, it's seriously one of the greatest experiences I think you can, like, play. And now that I've spent another, you know, minute or so kissing this game's ass, I just completely forgot I can actually trigger the first event here, so let's go ahead and do that. That's such a satisfying sound. And so...
Something is taking over this ship. The sim units on this deck are being diverted for reasons unknown. I know it's somehow connected to the larger picture, and whatever is happening since they landed on Tau 7. My men look at me like I'm crazy, but it is my responsibility to safeguard this ship and its crew. Screw Anatoly, screw Diego, and screw whatever poisonous influence has desecrated this vessel. I will not abandon my post or my charge.
Right, so more insight into Bronson's character. So it seems like Delacroix wasn't really kidding when she mentioned if Krenchkin won't take her seriously, then Bronson most likely will. She seems very committed to fulfilling her duties. But, you know, everything like that tends to have a downside, so we'll be seeing the results of that soon enough, unfortunately. You know, Bronson is quite the interesting character. Even though she's clearly on the side of, you know, humanity in this game. The extent she takes it not only are the extent that she takes it are not only extremist and kind of almost evil in a sense. We'll see what I mean by that soon. But they also, if you think about it, oh my god, fuck off. I'm trying to sit here and wax poetic about a fucking video game character. It may also have been counterproductive to just the survivors as a whole of the Von Braun. But more about that in a bit. Let's just keep doing this kind of stuff. So, if we hadn't gone to wreck, this would have been the first place we would have been able to pick up the crystal shard on this dead body right here. Give me. There we go. And I believe there's some cyber modules here. Yes.
I hacked into 2 of the sim units yesterday, and for the love of God, I don't know why. I felt compelled by some power. My mind and my body are changing. But they know it's me. They just can't prove it. The next sim unit that goes down, Bronson and her men will come for me. But I'll be ready. She may have guns and hatred on her side, but I am one of many.
So, more evidence of a Malik's mental decay. When the many has a hold of you, it seems like they have total control over you for the most part. To me, that's just really terrifying. That a lot of these people, it's not even that they're unwilling pawns of the many like we talked about initially. It's like they're full on board with it. To some extent, that's almost kind of comforting, because at the very least, you know, it's not necessarily hurtful to them, but at the same time, these were once humans, and now they're betraying their own kind for the sake of an outside force. And we have killed another. Ooh, yeah.
Your skill surprises me. Transmitting cybernetic modules.
Yeah, so just randomly, somebody up there is throwing stuff down at us. And if we go in here, it just seems like a blank elevator. So that's always fun. Yet another EMP rifle. You know, SS2 seems to really play up the EMP rifle. Like, we haven't seen that many assault rifles, but there's been a shit ton of EMP rifles. They want you to use it. We'll see some we'll see about the EMP rifle soon. I like it, but it has its issues. Now that's kind of why I wanted to get into using a hybrid exotic and energy weapons playthrough, is because they really are polar opposites, and we need to find a freaking worm pile.
They've given me 2 gifts.
Isn't that marvelous? 2 little shards of crystal. It's very, very sharp. When I strike it, it sings to me.
They wanted to sing to Sergeant Bronson.
I go there now to share my gift with her. They're very fragile, but very sharp.
So interesting. They changed Martin's profile pic in this to be Woods in this audio log.
They've given me 2 gifts.
Isn't that marvelous? 2 little shards of crystal. It's very, very sharp. When I strike it, it sings to me.
They wanted to sing to Sergeant Bronson.
I go there now to share my gift with her. They're very fragile, but very sharp.
Right. So, he actually shares his portrait with a different character later on, or he's supposed to. System Shock 2 has some, for the most part it does really well at like differentiating its characters from each other, but there are some goof-ups, and there's another one later on, actually on Command as well, but overall I don't really think it detracts from the genius of this game. So, this seems like some sort of cafeteria or galley of sorts. And here's this ghost.
Honey, what is it?
It's just the security team. They're just looking to scare us.
Weapons ready, men.
Sergeant Bronson, get your men out of here. You killed Malik. You had your scapegoat. You didn't do anything. Get them out.
Yeah.
Survivors.
That's what I'm talking about. Bronson had her men basically execute all of these people who may or may not have even been affiliated with the many. That was not a one-off scenario either. This was something that Bronson did for the sake, in her mind, for protecting the Von Braun's crew from the many, was eliminating anybody who really acted out of line. It's probably one of the darkest things about System Shock 2, and System Shock 2 is a dark game. Like, shit, man. Innocent humans were killed, basically. Anyway, it seems like we have another audio log, so I want to go ahead and listen to that.
I don't feel right about any of this. I still don't understand why you asked me to mess with the memory restoration on that grunt. Why didn't you want him to remember volunteering for this game? You did volunteer for the implants, right? Every email from you gets stranger and stranger. It's like you're not even the same person anymore.
More evidence of us being tampered with against our own will. And of course, it's like a little bit of a late foreshadowing of Polito not being herself. You know, System Shock 2 is a very much like another one of my favorite pieces of media, which would be John Carpenter's The Thing. It's comes a little late for us to actually see it in like happening, but there's a lot of the same elements that go into The Thing in this game, like just the general mistrust that the crew has for each other, nobody really recognizing who's who anymore. Everybody playing up on the paranoia. It's really easy to see how the people of the Von Braun basically felt. It's pretty chilling. This part always used to make me laugh until I realized, I was listening to some, it was like one of those Reddit text-to-speech, posts, and there was a story of how, a naval captain died on a submarine, and because submarines aren't allowed to, like, resurface for quite some time, they ended up, storing his body basically uncovered in the, freezer. So basically, whenever you would walk into there, you would see this, you know, dead man's face. So at first it seems kind of silly, but when you realize that's what happens on a boat or in a submarine, or just really in any scenario where you can't really dispose of a body properly, that's what happens, and that's really chilling. So that used to be kind of silly, just a body in the freaking freezer, but not now. I mean, that's what actually happens, and I can't really say it's amusing. I'm kind of just reiterating what I'm saying over and over again. Hello. The atmosphere in this deck is just superb. You're a little late, buddy. I'm not in here anymore.
Something
out of place.
Sounded like you had a buddy as well. Let's go ahead and wipe him out as well. Part of what I think helps Op so much is this beautiful, I guess beautiful is not the word, but this really extremely well done ambience. This deck just feels foreboding. Ow. That's part of what I think is so great about System Shock 2, is even though this is the kind of game that makes you feel more and more powerful when you play, you always feel on edge when you play it. I've played this game so many times, and, you know, honestly, maybe I played it a little too often, because I will literally dream about this game. Like, something that I've always wanted to do for System Shock 2 is to give back to the community and, like, learn how to make a fan mission so I can, you know, basically make a System Shock playthrough. Oh, I have one of my friends talking to me. Yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? To me, I've tried to make a fan mission for this game, and it's just, the editor is kind of difficult for me to use. It's something that would probably be easy if I were just to take the time to learn how to do it, right? But it's just somewhat archaic, and I just really can't get a hang of it. It's a shame, because I don't know. I damn near caught these guys T-posing. Get back here. That was odd. They were just, like, not even trying to fight me. They were just running away from me. Anyway. I have a lot of ideas for what I'd like to do in a fan mission, but it's just a little too difficult for me, personally. Seems like... Yeah. I was not wanting to take that at first because those turrets fucking hurt, but as you can see, we are basically at full health after getting hit by a laser turret because of our implant and our armor. Yeah, Worm Mind is not something to underestimate. We are face-taking a lot of the strongest enemy attacks in the game. This game is, like, full of all sorts of nasty stuff that does a shit ton of damage to you later on, and it's amusing to be able to take so many hits with a freaking Worm Mind implant on. It's probably one of my favorite implants in this game, and it's just kind of a shame that research has such a weird, like, reputation to it. I mean, to be fair, it's a skill you don't need. You can do everything you need to actually complete with the research skill with the implant, but when you actually want to, like, get access to the stuff you get researching it, it's really good when you need a higher level research than 1. Although, due to that, you'd never need a research higher than 5. And this is the other heavy weapon in the game. This is the stasis field generator. This thing is a meme, and not in a very good way. The stasis field generator is basically what it might sound like. When you shoot it at somebody, it freezes them in place for a bit of time. And that's pretty much all it does. It has a mode where you can fire it in an area of effect fashion, but it's an AoE weapon in a game where ammo conservation is a thing. And not only that, but it uses the same ammo as the fusion cannon, and it's a heavy weapon. Heavy weapon, you know, the type of weapon class you would imagine would have something like a minigun or just something equally badass as something that sounds like a fusion cannon. And it has probably the only one of the true pacifistic weapons in this game. It's not bad in certain applications, but in my opinion, the fusion cannon should have been like the wrench, and the fact that it should not have taken any skills to use. Anyway, we have some audio logs, so I'm going to go ahead and listen to them.
Bronson knows.
Won't let her undo the work we've done.
Wired up a surprise for her. Anybody approaching Sim Unit
3 will feel sorrow.
So much sorrow.
This is Xerxes. At 0200, there will be a poetry reading by protocol group T892/2 in the Deck 5 Commons area. Please bring any authorized material that you wish to be read by T892/2.
And here we have a pretty despicable ambush, honestly. So, listen, I'm not going to deal with all these freaking spiders at once, so I'm going to demonstrate the Viral Proliferator against them. And as we can see, it's making pretty quick work of these guys. Although we can see right there that it's kind of a difficult weapon to use at times. And that pretty much describes the Viral Proliferator. It's decent but difficult to use. It's not a very traditional weapon, but it's fun. You know, System Shock 2's weapons, in my opinion, are... System Shock 2's combat as a whole kind of gets a bad rep. And it's not the most polished thing ever, but what I think it is it's not only passable, but it really kind of enhances the feel of the game. It is somewhat clunky, and it is kind of basic, but System Shock 2 isn't really a game about combat. It's a game about skills, and it's also a game about tension. You know, this game is built entirely on a sense of unease and vulnerability. Your guns are just enough to make you feel that all-important sense of confidence in the face of, really, terror. Speaking of terror, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks in the game. Bro. Okay, you know what? You just got blasted by your own teammate. I'm gonna that deserves a teabag, like, for real. Yeah, I'm sitting here talking about how beautiful this game is and how much of a masterpiece it is, and I just teabag a fucking enemy in the game. Like I said, I'm an Xbox Live kid. I grew up on the 360. So, that kind of thing is natural to me, guys. I play so many games where I just teabag enemies after I kill them, like, it's funny. I never even really teabagged in, like, multiplayer games until Halo came back on PC, and even then I only do it when I either, like, absolutely get a good kill, or somebody starts it first. Or sometimes I'll teabag if I'm just having a fun time, man. I will teabag you in this game. No, I don't teabag. I teabag. I'll teabag you. Yeah. That just about sums up my freaking hell. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yeah. I kind of want to refrain from using the Viral Proliferator too much. The ammo is very rare. Especially when my Crystal Shard already does so much damage to them. Although, I will permit myself to have a little bit of fun. Oh. Yeah! The Viral Proliferator could fucking clap you if you're not careful. And that's what kind of happened. So, once again, add that to a freaking... You know... I feel like I should go back and interactively add like a Walter Own count to this fucking series. Like the Krillin Own count from freaking Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Because I feel like I would have a freaking, like, whole list of Walter Owns. I don't know, that seems like it would be funny. You know what? Yeah, from here on out I'm gonna freaking do that. That sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. So, that was my first Walter Own count. Oh man. Next episode I'll have to do like a montage of all the times I fucking got myself owned and then tally them up. That sounds like it'd be fun. Anyway, we have a little bit more of this deck before we can end the video. Let's see. Right, so we have a... Looks like we have an audio log first that we should listen to, actually.
Don't stop, Rebecca. Keep moving. Get to the escape pods on the command deck. We'll take off, set the toaster to wake us up in 30 years, and we'll be back on Earth before you know. A toaster built for two, baby. That's our next stop. Sound good? So let's do it. I won't take any excuses.
So Tommy and Rebecca certainly have a plan, but what's this other audio log we have?
I feel you men aren't as dedicated to the mission as you need to be. You will do your duty. The traders and ops have still been unable to get the sim unit back online. If the situation is not remedied by 0600, we shall recon in force and ensure its remedy. I've changed the weapons lockup code to 13433, fallen at 0500. Anything that gets in your way, human or not, without pause or remorse.
And this is why I want the EMP rifle badly. Laser pistol is great. Yeah. Yay, another Walter Own count already. Good fight. You are not funny, boy. You are dead now. That's what you get for owning me and making me feel insecure about my favorite game of all time. Fuck you. Anyway, we should probably actually go back into that room we just died to get into. So, in most playthroughs, this would be a good way to get a perfect assault rifle. So let's go ahead and unload that. In addition, this would be a good place to get some grenades. This is normally a very fun room, but for me in this playthrough, it's kind of just free money, which I guess is still fun. And free bullets for my pistol that I am still using. I'm actually using the pistol in the same capacity as I would normally use the shotgun. Oh god. Ah, penis. Die! Die! Frickin'. Oh, you want some too? Ow! Frickin' fricks, man. You frickin' frick! I probably should have checked that to see if it had anything. I think it probably did. I'm just like being a total brainlet. So before we leave, we have a very important audio log we need to find in here. Here it is. This is something that's going to call back to something we had earlier.
As of this time, I am declaring a state of martial law on the Von Braun. All primary subsectors of the ship will be locked down and only accessible by security access cards. If anybody is found to be interfering with the normal operations of the ship or impedes the work of the security forces, they will be shot on the spot.
Right, so maybe the one I was oh god. The one I'm thinking of is a little further ahead. Yeah, this is fun. Okay. Well, we can continue now. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly came of Bronson, but first we have a bunch of different areas we can go to.
If we can reprogram the sim units and divert power to the transmitter on
Can't
deck
forget
5,
these guys.
my new friend will be able to regain control of the primary data loop from Xerxes. She, it, says that will let us use the bridge elevator and take control of the ship.
Indeed. So, yes. Dale Corey once again giving us ideas of what we generally need to do to be able to get past our cycles. And here is the log I was talking about, actually.
I've authorized a change in the access code for the auxiliary weapons lockup in the crew quarters of Med-Sci deck to 98383. I won't have my own gear used against my men. There's no such thing as too cautious.
She's right, you know. But yes, so now we have another destination we can go to. No, I don't welcome you and your penguin waddle. So, we finally have the code to that Med-Sci.
You've served me well. Transmitting cybernetic modules.
We finally have a code to that Med-Sci armory that we got to pass by at the very beginning of the game that Turnbull alluded to before she basically said that fucking Bronson should get no-scoped. I mean, she said fragged, but yes, so before I end this video, I will be heading down there and checking out what that was. And whatever happened here doesn't look like it was a very fun time. An audio log from Bronson. This doesn't sound very good.
They've killed my men, and now they've killed me. I'm holding my guts inside of me with both hands. I'm almost done. Resist! This is bigger than my little life. The lives of my men, and the lives of the people I was forced to kill. Resist! Humanity demands it. Resist!
And thus ends the tale of Melanie Bronson. For regardless of how I actually feel about her methods, which she did try to fight back against the many, and to some extent that's very important. But in the end she failed, and as a result, I fully believe the Von Braun was worse off because of it. Many of the Von Braun's uninfected crew members were killed, and although that may have prevented the many from spreading more rapidly, it still changed the fact that the resistance that we saw in Deck 5 could have had potentially more members working with them if it weren't for her. So, Bronson, wherever you are now, I hope you like think about what you've done.
This is Xerxes. Primary data loop compromised. Primary data loop compromised.
You have accomplished much for a thing of such small consequence.
Warning, data systems compromised.
Xerxes is diminished. I am accessing the primary data loop. I am merging my entity with the ship. My glory is expanding, filling the arteries of this vessel. I am in control. I am... No. It is hopeless. The cancer has spread throughout the Von Braun. They fill every available crack
and crevice. They overwhelm.
There is no option. I have activated the primary elevator shaft. Take it to deck 6.
I will tell you my wishes when you arrive.
Right. So, it seems like it's not that easy for Shodan to help us. It seems like there's a little bit extra steps that she has to take for us to have control over the ship for her. In the meantime, we can finally have access to our final toy, the EMP rifle. Hell yeah. This gun is, like I said, it's sort of like the polar opposite of the Viral Proliferator.
My creation is evolving. Its unified mind set in rebellion against its own creator.
The vermin call to you, inviting
you to join them
in their revolting biology.
Destroy my enemies, and I will continue to
abide your existence.
Right. Well, it's good that Shodan will abide my existence, because clearly it seems like I'm not having a very good time with it myself. Anyway. Wait, was that deck 5 or was that? No, that's ops. So before we go back, I'm going to go ahead and pick up that copper to research this strange looking thing we just picked up. This is yet another one of the researchable implants you can get in this game. And it's an interesting one, although its application is less useful as an implant and more just an equipable item. We'll get to that far when it's researched. And you get to die. You get to die as well. So let's go ahead and get that copper. And then let's head back down to Med-Sci to figure out what we're missing here. I don't know how long we've been at this, but at the same time, it's kind of making me realize that I'm spending a lot less time playing this game than I would have anticipated. I guess that's what happens when I record everything as a single session. I don't know if that's what you guys want to see, but it's how I feel good about recording it. I like to have these long sessions where I can kind of just ramble about things and ramble about the game. It gets me more in tune than having to constantly pause and start re-recording stuff. In any case, once again we're heading back to Med-Sci to research what exactly we can find down here. Yeah, like I said, coming back here at the Crystal Shard is kind of like Anakin going back and killing the younglings. It's just straight up slaughter. And thankfully we have a rat pretty much right there. Man. All of these hybrids and none of them are posing a threat. At least not until I decide to pull out my Viral Proliferator against them. So here we have the Med-Sci Armory. And this is kind of an extension of the stuff you can find on Ops. It's actually more equipped, which I think is kind of hilarious. But yeah, so if you want to cheat, or if you want to do kind of a cheat, and you want to get in here before you're technically supposed to, you can have access to all this stuff pretty early on. I don't like to do it that way because I think it's kind of cheap, but it's still something you can do. And lastly, before we end the video, I want to go ahead and read the research log of the, as it's called, the warm blood implant. Summary. While this implant is active, you can right-click on a pile of worms to heal yourself. Analysis. This implant is a high-powered blood filtering and reprocessing unit which acts to modify bloodborne annelid tissue to be benign in a human host. Because of the highly regenerative nature of these annelids, Their tissue, in conjunction with this implant, can be used as a replacement for damaged human tissue. A small insertion point in the implant can be used to import animal tissue for use. Recommendation. While under effect of this implant, discarded annelid tissue, such as that found in warm piles, can be used for regenerative effect. Use of annelid tissue in such a fashion while the implant is not powered is strongly discouraged. So, just as a quick demonstration before I end the video, basically what this allows us to do is it allows us to walk over to one of these worm piles. Walk over to one of these worm piles and numb it for a bit of health. There's a little bit of a disgusting sound as well. So, yeah. Just another little extra bit of health for us now that we've done research. And it's technically free as long as we have access to a worm pile. I don't believe you can actually use up a worm pile with beakers, so technically it's just free health whenever we come across one. And with that, I think that's going to wrap up this episode. We are done with the operations deck, and now we'll be going to deck 6, which is command, to continue our adventure there and potentially get off the Von Braun once and for all. In any case, thanks again guys for watching, and this has been Walter Reborn, and you guys have yourself a wonderful day.